Something is moving beneath Yellowstone right now. Not hypothetically, not symbolically, physically.
The Yellowstone
miles
hotspot,
below
a
the
vast thermal
forests,
engine
lakes,
beneath
and
the
tourists
surface.
taking
This NASA
photos.
visualization-
The intrusion vector is spiking.
Molten
We need
rock
to isolate
is
now.
shifting.
Agreed. Reroute
Pressure
traffic
is
before the path
building.
hatching. It's
The
stabilizing.
ground
Confirmed.
is breathing, rising, sinking, rising again. Instruments buried deep in the earth are detecting tremors too small for you to feel, but too precise for scientists to ignore. And here's the unsettling part. This isn't the first time it's happened, but every time it does, one question returns. Are we getting closer? Because Yellowstone isn't just a national park. It's not just geysers and wildlife and postcard landscapes. It is a super volcano. And history shows us super volcanoes don't stay quiet forever. The land looks peaceful, calm, almost innocent. You see pine trees swaying gently, steam drifting from hot springs, bison grazing slowly across open valleys. It feels ancient, stable, permanent. That illusion is Yellowstone's greatest disguise. Beneath that calm surface lies one of the most powerful geological systems on Earth, a magma reservoir so vast it dwarfs ordinary volcanoes. Most volcanoes erupt from narrow chambers.
Of imminent disaster as contagion
Yellowstone
models are spiking.
sits
We need
atop
to contain
a
the protocols
colossal
now.
underground
Yeah, I'm walking. The
pool
street
of
is insane
partially
today.
molten rock
Careful, that
stretching
lava looks
dozens
real.
of miles.
It's so hot. Keep moving.
This isn't a mountain volcano. It's a continent-scale pressure system. Scientists classify eruptions using something called the Volcanic Explosivity Index. Most eruptions rank between 1 and 5. Mount St. Helens in 1980 was a 5. Historic eruptions like Krakatoa reach 6. Yellowstone's past eruptions, they hit 8. That's the highest category on the scale. The kind of eruption so powerful it reshapes landscapes, alters climate, and leaves scars visible for millions of years. And Yellowstone has done it before. About 2.1 million years ago, it unleashed a blast that covered nearly half of North America in ash. Another eruption followed 1.3 million years ago, then again roughly 640,000 years ago. 3 mega eruptions, each one catastrophic beyond modern imagination, which leads to a chilling realization. The system is not extinct, it's alive. Now we come to the present, because something has changed. Over the past decades, monitoring stations across Yellowstone have recorded thousands of small earthquakes every year. Most are minor,
Look at this
barely
spike, it's
noticeable,
anomalous.
but
I'm isolating the
occasionally
source
clusters
now.
appear.
Cross-check with the logs.
Swarms,
Good. Keep monitoring.
dozens, sometimes hundreds of quakes rattling the same area within days. Not destructive, but significant. Seismic swarms often signal movement underground, rock shifting, fluids migrating, pressure redistributing through cracks deep below the surface. Then there's the ground itself. Satellite measurements show that parts of Yellowstone have risen several inches over relatively short geological periods. Then, strangely, some sections sink again, then rise again. The Earth is flexing
luminescence is
like a slow
extraordinary.
inhale and
much better.
exhale. Hydrothermal features are changing too. Some geysers erupt more frequently than before.
The experts are
Others
warning us. An
suddenly fall
unprecedented global
silent.
threat is imminent.
New steam
Catastrophic
vents
impacts are
appear
projected
when none
worldwide.
existed.
We must act immediately.
Water temperatures fluctuate unpredictably. To tourists, it looks fascinating. To geologists, it's data that must be watched closely. Because geothermal systems respond to pressure shifts underground. When magma moves even slightly, it can alter heat flow patterns. That means geysers, hot springs, and gas vents can act like indirect indicators of deeper activity. Not proof of eruption, but signals. And signals matter. Here's where the tension builds. You might expect scientists to be sounding alarms if Yellowstone were truly dangerous. But when officials speak publicly, their tone is calm, measured, controlled. They say there is no evidence
Experts are warning us. An
an
unprecedented global
eruption
threat
is
is
imminent,
imminent.
which is
Catastrophic impacts are
true. But
projected
that doesn't
worldwide.
mean
We must
nothing's
act
happening.
immediately.
Volcanic systems don't behave like ticking bombs with digital countdown clocks. They evolve slowly, quietly, over decades, sometimes centuries. Pressure accumulates gradually,
luminescence is
until
extraordinary.
one day
Much
conditions align. Think of it less like a bomb and more like a heart, beating, pulsing, adjusting. Most of those pulses never lead to disaster, but all eruptions start with pulses, and Yellowstone is pulsing. So what if it did erupt? Not a small eruption, not a lava flow tourists could photograph from a safe distance. A full-scale super
The
eruption.
intrusion vector is spiking.
The
We need to
first
isolate
sign
now.
would likely be
Agreed. Reroute traffic
escalating
to avoid
earthquakes,
patching.
stronger,
Stabilize.
more
Confirmed.
frequent. The ground might swell rapidly, roads could crack, forests could tilt. Then steam explosions could blast craters into the landscape as groundwater flashes instantly into vapor. Then comes the main event, an explosion so violent it would empty massive portions of the underground magma chamber in hours. Not days, hours. A column of ash and gas would rocket into the stratosphere, miles high, visible from space. Nearby states would go dark. Ash would fall like grey snow across Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. Within hours, it could blanket cities hundreds of miles away. Airplanes grounded, power grids failing, crops buried, water contaminated. Breathing would become dangerous in affected zones, engines would choke, electronics could short. And that's just the regional impact. Globally, the consequences would unfold in slow motion. Ash and sulfur particles injected high into the atmosphere would reflect sunlight back into space. Temperatures could drop worldwide. Growing seasons might shrink. Food production could decline across continents. History shows even smaller eruptions have cooled the planet temporarily. Yellowstone would not be small, it would be civilization altering. But pause, take a breath, because this is where truth matters more than fear.
Yeah, I'm walking.
Despite the
street is insane today.
dramatic possibilities,
Careful, that
most
lava looks real.
volcanologists
It's so
agree
hot,
that a
keep
super
moving.
eruption
Global crisis
anytime
looms.
soon
Experts
is
warn of
extremely
imminent disaster as
unlikely.
Contagion models are spiking.
Geological
Containment
records
protocols now.
suggest the intervals between Yellowstone's major eruptions are irregular, not scheduled. There is no pattern predicting it must erupt soon. In fact, statistically speaking, humanity will probably live and die without witnessing one. So, why does Yellowstone still concern scientists? Because probability is not the same as impossibility. Monitoring exists precisely because the stakes are so high. The Yellowstone Volcano Observatory tracks seismic activity, ground deformation, gas emissions, and thermal changes continuously. Every tremor is logged, every
at this
shift
spike, it's
analyzed. They are not waiting
isolating
for
the source
disaster.
now.
They are
Cross-check
studying
with the logs.
signals.
Good. Keep monitoring.
And so far, those signals suggest a restless system, not an erupting one. Still, restless is not the same as dormant. There's another layer to this story, one that has nothing to do with magma and everything to do with the human mind. Humans are strangely bad at processing low probability, high impact risks. If something is unlikely to happen today, our brains quietly label it irrelevant. We focus on immediate threats, deadlines, bills, traffic, weather forecasts, not supervolcanoes. Psychologists call this normalcy bias, the tendency to assume tomorrow will look like yesterday. It keeps us calm, functional,
the Yellowstone hotspot,
able to
a vast
live
thermal
our
engine beneath
lives
the
without
surface.
constant
This NASA
dread.
visualization reveals its
But it
dynamic
also
flowing
means we
energy.
often ignore slow-building dangers until they become unavoidable. Yellowstone doesn't erupt on human schedules. It operates on geological
Global crisis
time.
looms.
Thousands of
Experts warn
years can
imminent
pass in
disaster as
silence.
Contagion models are
Then
spiking.
suddenly,
Containment protocols now.
change.
Yeah, I'm walking.
And
The
because
street
that
is insane
timeline is
today.
so vast,
Careful, that lava
it's
looks
easy
real.
to
It's so
dismiss.
hot. Keep moving.
Too easy. Which raises a question most people never ask. If Yellowstone did start moving toward eruption, would we recognize the warning signs in time? Scientists believe yes. A true pre-eruption phase would likely involve dramatic increases in earthquakes, rapid ground uplift, major gas releases, and visible surface changes. It wouldn't be subtle. It would be unmistakable. But recognizing signs and responding to them are two different challenges. Evacuating regions, coordinating governments, managing global supply chains, preventing panic. Those problems don't belong to geology, they belong to civilization. And here's the twist. Yellowstone's greatest danger may not be eruption itself, it may be misunderstanding. Sensational headlines often exaggerate volcanic threats because fear spreads faster than facts. Viral posts claim Yellowstone is about to blow whenever earthquake
This
swarms
luminescence is
occur.
extraordinary.
But swarms happen
Much better.
regularly and usually mean nothing catastrophic. At the same time, dismissing Yellowstone entirely
The
would
experts are
also
warning
be a
us. An
mistake.
unprecedented global threat is imminent.
Scientists monitor
Catastrophic
it
impacts are projected
precisely
worldwide. We
because
must act
it is
immediately.
capable of extraordinary power, even if that power is unlikely to unleash anytime soon. So the truth lives in a narrow space between panic and complacency. And that space is where reality exists. Right now, as you watch this, Yellowstone is still there, still breathing, still shifting, still alive beneath the surface. You won't hear it. You won't feel it. You could stand in the middle of the park today and see nothing but beauty. But miles below your feet, the earth is moving molten stone through ancient channels, carved long before humans existed. That process has never stopped, not for a single second. Civilizations rise believing the ground beneath them is permanent. History shows
experts are
otherwise.
warning us. An
Continents
unprecedented global threat is
drift,
imminent.
mountains rise,
Catastrophic impacts are projected
oceans
worldwide.
open
We
and
must act
close.
immediately.
The planet is not static, it is dynamic. Yellowstone is simply one reminder of that truth. A reminder that beneath our cities, highways and borders lies a world far older and
This
far
luminescence
more
is
powerful
extraordinary.
than anything we have
Much
built,
better.
and it does not ask permission to change. So are we closer to a mega eruption than we think? Maybe not, but we are closer than we were yesterday, and tomorrow we will be closer still, not because disaster is imminent, but because time never stops moving forward. And Yellowstone is moving with it. One day, whether thousands of years from now or far
The intrusion
beyond
vector is spiking. We
our
need to isolate
species'
now.
Agreed.
existence,
Reroute traffic. and
Yellowstone
hatching,
will
stabilizing.
erupt
Confirmed.
again. Geological history guarantees it. The real mystery isn't if, it's when. And that question lingers quietly beneath the surface. Just like the magma itself, waiting, watching, building,